Hey, Daniel Seraph here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're looking for some soloing help, you want to sound better in your solos, then you came to the right place. So today what we're going to do is talk about this Charlie Puth song called We Don't Talk Anymore. I made a backing track a few days ago and posted it to my YouTube channel, and so you can grab that. The link is actually down below. You can download it if you like, or also go to the YouTube channel and have it to play along with. But in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on some tips on how to solo better, how to improvise better, how to jam better. All right, and I'm gonna have some tidbits for beginners, intermediates, and advanced players. So go ahead, like this video, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's jump in. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into the beginner part of the lesson. So it's important that you at least know the minor pentatonic scale box. Alright, and if you don't know it, I recommend you learn it, and I'll have a PDF of that. So the interesting thing about this song is that the song is actually in the parent scale of E major or C sharp minor. And the chords are A major, B major, C sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, and C sharp minor again. Now, that's the whole progression for the entire song, but the track that we're going to use is just over the verse. The full backing track has a big chorus part and some other sections just to make it sound interesting, but I thought for the lesson we could just play over this verse part. Okay, so again, you know, the minor pentatonic scale is going to sound wonderful over this because it's essentially kind of in the C sharp minor key. Okay, so what happens a lot of times when beginners are playing over music like this is that they learn the scale and then they end up kind of like practicing the scale straight up and down. And you know, like there's nothing wrong with that in the beginning, but the reality is there's a lot that you can do even with that scale that's not too hard, you know, or challenging to kind of add to your playing. So let's talk about one of those things. One of my favorite things to do with beginner students is to just have them realize, okay, so once you know where your fingers are supposed to go for the scale, the neat thing is you can get a lot of mileage out of sliding into those notes. And so specifically, the pointer finger is going to be playing every string at the 9th fret. Right? All those notes are in the scale. So we have this awesome thing that pretty much at any time what you can do is slide from 1 fret below. Now here's the important part. You don't want to spend too long on that first note, so you don't want to go like it's a little like out of tune, you know, or the wrong note to hit, really, not out of tune. Right? That one's okay. But some of them, I don't know. Ooh, right? So basically, it doesn't matter if you slide the note in kind of a speedier way. It'll be nice. Now let me show you. I'll play the scale and then I'll do some slides. Okay, so there I'm really like, you know, just giving you an example of exactly what I'm saying to play, right? But then what you could do is you could start to add in some other things. let's talk about those. You know, there are lots of little kind of nuances that we can add to the playing. And what I tell my students is, like, once you have like the basics of the scale, where you can play it, it starts to sound, you know, more interesting if you can add in some cool kind of like flurries, or some, you know, like if you're making ice cream, you got the, you know, your vanilla, your chocolate, you want to add some sprinkles on top. And those sprinkles would be hammer-ons, pull-offs. We're already doing some slides, but also some bends. So let's first talk about some hammer-ons, okay? So if you don't know, you should, because hammer-ons are important to know, right? For playing songs or improvising. So basically what you want to do is you want to take the lower note on each string. I'm on the 9th fret of the thinnest string, or high E. Okay, and I'm going to take that note, I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to quickly tap my pinky finger and hold it on the 12th fret there, right? And we've got a hammer on. Now I can do that on each string following the notes of the scale pattern, right? And so all of a sudden I get these nice, like, different way to play the scale rather than picking every note, which sounds good. I have the nuances where I could do quick hammer-ons, or so again, I'm just going through the scale. Let me do them quick. Right? So when you start to get some speed, it sounds really nice. All right, so let's try and go ahead. Let's add the slides and the hammer-ons. So we'll have the option to play the notes regularly, to play with the slide where we're sliding in on our pointer finger on the 9th frets, and then also hammer-ons. Let's see what we can do. Okay, here's a big tip, just something that I just did. Don't always start at the bottom of the scale. That's like a beginner kind of thing that happens a lot. Students just always want to go and spend too much time on the fat strings. I like to start in the middle a lot of times. I think that works really well. So notice I'm kind of like varying the rhythm. I'm not doing the same technique over and over. I'm really trying to sing with my guitar and use the different techniques to express kind of what I'm feeling in different ways. Great. So let's talk about one other technique for beginners that you need to know, and that's the pull-off, right? So the pull-off is kind of the opposite of a hammer-on, right? So instead of starting on the lower note and hammering into the higher note, what we're going to do is we're going to start on the higher note and we're going to pull off into the lower note of each string. So I'm starting on the first string and I'm going to put my pinky finger on 12. You know, you might notice a lot of people play this shape with their ring finger. That's fine, I use my pinky. So I'm gonna play that note. I'm gonna already have my pointer finger down, right? I'm gonna play and I'm gonna pull off onto that pointer finger. Now, I think pull off is kind of a bad term. To me, it's actually more like a pluck off, meaning the left hand actually kind of has to pull on the string a little bit, but I don't want to pull so much where the note goes out of tune or gets pulled off the fretboard. Right? Okay, let's try some of those. So if you're jamming to the track, you know, you might practice with me, or you might get the track on, you know, on your speakers. And what I like to do is I like to practice one technique to the track at a time. Right? So I would do like all slides, or all hammers, or now all pull-offs. And I'm doing it on every string, right? I'm using my ring finger on the 11th frets. I'm using my pinky on the 12s. I might start to combine some. You know, practicing to get fast, you gotta actually practice playing fast. And it's okay if you can't play fast yet. The whole idea is just to get these new techniques. Okay, so once you're feeling pretty good about the pull-offs, let's try and combine those things. So we got the 9th fret slide, and we've got the hammer-ons. Notice how a lot of times I start from the highest notes, but also in the middle. And then the pull-offs. Okay, let's try and combine all those things. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. So what I'd like you to do is take this track and go ahead and play by yourself. And I want you to work on these little slides into the 9th fret, the hammer-ons, and the pull-offs. And let me know how it's going. You know, send me a message in the comments, and I'd love to hear how your practice is going. Let's jump into the intermediate part of the lesson. Okay, cool. So here is the intermediate part of the lesson. And what I wanted to do here is, I'm assuming as an intermediate, you know, soloist, guitar soloist, that you already know how to do slides and hammer-ons and pull-offs, and you know your pentatonic scale really well, and you might even know it in some different positions. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to add in a great note that will sound very colorful and cool on this progression, and that is a D sharp. Okay, so if we were playing this minor pentatonic scale, I originally learned this sound probably from Jimmy Herring. He's a wonderful guitar player. I love his playing, and you hear him add this a lot. Also, Derek Trucks commonly will play this note as an addition, right? So basically, if we have our minor pentatonic shape 1, we're in the key of C sharp minor. The D sharp is going to essentially be the second scale degree, which is typically not in the minor pentatonic scale, right? We have a 1, a flat 3, a 4, a 5, a flat 7, back to 1, right? So we're going to add in that D sharp. The first one's going to be here at the 11th fret of the E string, all right? And then we got normal notes. Then on the G, we're going to play the 8th fret added. Then on the B string, got normal notes, and then finally on the high E, we've got the 11th fret added. So let's hear that whole scale. So you notice when I play the scale, I try to make music out of it right away. I don't care about playing the scale straight up and down anymore. Especially in consistent rhythms. It's like kind of a thing that I realized a few years ago. I don't need to practice my scale straight up and down. As long as I know the scale, the phrases in the scale are gonna sound way cooler if I actually play music with it. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so you might notice that because I'm playing the minor pentatonic scale, I'm actually adding the blue note in as well. That's another thing you guys should kind of like be freely able to do, is think about that blue note. So the blue note, in this case would be like on the A string. It would be the 10th fret on the A string. And then it's the 12th fret on the G. So we're kind of playing a blues pentatonic scale, right? With the 2 or the 9 added. It's such a beautiful sound. We get the blues part, but then we get that beautiful like color of the second scale degree. Now you should know that like on a track like this, it's a good idea to not land directly on the blue note, right? If you learn the blue note is like a passing tone, right? It sounds better when you play through it. But I will freely add that note all over the place. Right? The 9 is so beautiful and colorful. Okay, cool. So here's something that I want you to work on. So like I was saying, I don't really like to practice the scale straight up and down. Instead, I do some different constraints exercises that I find really work really beautifully. And so one constraint exercise that I want you to work on as an intermediate guitar player is to try and take a rhythm and play that rhythm through the scale. So a good way to maybe produce a rhythm would be vocally, right? So we listen to so much music and learn so much music in our lifetime that we kind of have like a lot of music on the inside, right? And we need to figure out, how do we express that on the guitar? Well, a good way to do it is try and vocalize it first. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be a singer. You don't really have to be a singer, but this is a good idea for you to just like say a rhythm. So, da 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 ba da da. Okay? Da 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 ba da da. I'm gonna try and play that. And I'm trying to continue playing it. And I try and force myself to play it in different ways, different notes. after a few repetitions, what I would do is I would try and move on to another idea. So again, this is a constraints practice. What I'm doing is I'm trying to force myself into kind of these constraints, and from these constraints I'm able to grow. Rather than having the total freedom just to noodle around in the scale, this is a great way to practice because you actually have direction. Let me say one more rhythm and I'll try it. So, ba, da, 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 da. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. You could even do it on one note, right? Alright, wonderful. So, that concludes the intermediate part. Let's jump into the advanced part of the lesson. Alright, advanced guitarist, welcome. Thanks for checking this part out. Hopefully you checked out the beginner and intermediate parts because there's benefit in all that stuff. But if you're an advanced guitar player, let's jump in. This is going to be pretty challenging, but that's the whole point and that's why you're here. So what I want to do here is talk about some string groups. And the interesting thing that I've found in teaching and learning from a lot of different people is that people talk about note groups a lot, but they don't always talk about string groups. So let's check these out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start with 2 string groups, and essentially 2 string groups are where you take 2 strings at a time, then you play all the notes on them, right? And so I like to start at the highest note because a lot of times guitar players get stuck in starting in the lowest, right? So we're going to take all the notes on strings 1 and 2 like this, strings 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, and 5 and 6. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with just 1 and 2. And I'm playing them in 16th notes, right? So I want you to follow along. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and play it after me. Da-ba-da-dum. Now, as of right now, I'm picking all of them. Okay, I'm gonna add string, the second group, which is gonna be, and then play like this. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-dum. Here we go. All right, let's add in the third string group. So I'm adding in G and D, right? Sounds like this. Now this is all downwards pick slanting. If you don't know about pick slanting, maybe leave me a comment and I'll explain it to you. There's a lot of cool information on the internet about it. Alright, let's add in that fourth string group. It's you. Haha, sorry. Let's add in the last one. Again. Play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. One more time. Okay, great. So we played those 2 string groups descending. Let's play them ascending. So I play the notes on 6 and 5 ascending like this. Let's add in the next one. Yeah. Add in the next one. Play it. Good. Let's add in the next one. Here we go. Yeah. All right, add in the last one. Again. Yeah. Okay, great. So if you are having trouble with any of these, that's cool. What I would do is I would break them up into their smaller fragments. Like I would basically work on, string groups 1 and 2. I would work on 2 and 3. And I would actually practice bursting them. I might turn off the track, press pause on the video. And when you're working on bursts, I actually don't care about it being perfectly accurate. It does not have to be perfectly accurate. What you're trying to do is trigger your nervous system to just kind of learn how to twitch. And I used to think that you had to practice like with a metronome and just bump it up little by little. But actually that's really not the best way to do it. The best way is totally to like practice away from a track, away from a drum machine, away from all that stuff, and just burst and a little bit. And you have to pay attention. Make sure you don't sound like completely like junk all the time, you know what I mean? Like you actually have to practice things slowly too. But as one aspect of practicing, you have to just burst. Okay, so those are 2 string groups. So if you're an advanced guitar player, you should consider practicing 3 string groups at a time, 4 string groups. And I'll talk more about those things in future lessons, but I just wanted to hip you to string groups because I think they sound awesome. And I find that I use them a lot, and also they've helped my pick slanting technique like crazy. So helpful. All right, so I just wanted to say thanks again for tuning in to my channel and checking out this Charlie Puth track and how to jam on it, how to solo on it better. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you'll click that like button on this video. Go ahead and subscribe, and also leave me a comment if you have any ideas on future lessons to do. I'm definitely taking requests. And if you dug this lesson, please go over to www.danielserif.com. The link is below. And over there, I have a 5-part video course about learning the pentatonic scale across the entire guitar neck and in any key. It helps you break out of the boxes. We played in box shape 1 mostly for this lesson. But this whole method that I have with a 30-page ebook and some backing tracks over there, all for free, it will help you break out of the pentatonic boxes, play all over the guitar neck freely, and actually make music with scales rather than just sound like scales. So head on over there, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.